Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the Sharkpreneur Podcast, Agency Edition. This is Seth Greene here with Hal Smith from HStreetDigital.co, talking about how to scale to $1 million a month without sacrificing profit. Experience white glove, high impact performance, advertising strategy and execution with unmatched expertise, precision, and results. Hal, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Seth.
Well, it is our pleasure. Let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get started?
Yep. So I had worked in the political advertising space for a couple of years. I realized that political advertising, political really in general, was not for me. And so I decided to join an old boss of mine and help him start up a performance advertising agency. I did that for a number of years. And then I actually started the agency. I left his company and then started my own. I did that for about a year. Ended up shutting it down to go in-house with the client. Helped that client scale up their performance advertising operation for about a year. Didn't really enjoy it that much and decided to start the agency again. And so throughout this process, what that really meant, basically managed well over $100 million in performance advertising, have helped multiple different organizations now scale up their teams around performance advertising. And really the big focus is the direct response side of things. So running campaigns to directly influence sales for a business.
Awesome. I'm sure the longer version of that could probably fill the book somewhere if it hasn't already. What is your definition of performance advertising?
So it really is trying to understand as much as possible for every dollar you spend on ads, how much revenue is it generating? And so what that specifically means in what we do is managing digital advertising campaigns and make them as efficiently as possible, and then have this extreme focus on scaling, right? So it's not only running these campaigns profitably, but trying to profitably scale them as well. And then what that also entails in terms of what we do in the agency is we have performance first creative. So it's ads that are going to drive sales. It's not necessarily branding or awareness ads. They're direct response ads that we actually know will be driving sales. That's also, website conversion rate optimization. And that's also to building out and maintaining a marketing analytics stack that actually allows you to track the performance of these campaigns. So you have the confidence to increase your advertising spend, knowing it's actually going to generate, profitable revenue for the business.
That is awesome. And you've worked with, I know, a number of different clients over the years. Who's an ideal client for H Street now?
Ideal client is a direct-to-consumer brand that's doing about 10 to 15, maybe $20 million of revenue. And that might be comprehensive revenue across business. So they might have a little bit of a retail aspect to that, but they also have an e-commerce aspect. Our ideal customer is somebody that really wants to scale what they're doing on their e-com side. And so they see digital advertising as a big lever to improve that. So they come and work with us to scale up the digital advertising campaigns. So they're generating $1 million or more a month in revenue on that e-com store.
Is there a media platform that you have extra specialization in that you prefer to work in, or are you all across the board platform agnostic?
That's a great question. So we're very focused on meta advertising. So that's Facebook and Instagram, as well as Google ads. And then now we've actually started to really expand into TikTok advertising. So that's really our focus. It's more social based advertising with the Google ads, and Google ads is a pretty big stack. So that's Google search. That's what's called performance max campaigns. It's also YouTube. But that's really where most of our expertise is, and that's where we spend most of our time scaling up our clients.
And what are the biggest challenges clients are having that they're coming to you to fix?
So the biggest challenge is, I would say they're working with an agency today, but that agency has a lot of complacency in how they operate, right? So they're frustrated because the agency is not bringing a whole lot of strategy to the conversation. The agency is slow to action, certain, ideas or recommendations that the client might be seeing and asking the agency to implement. And then I think the other kind of key thing is they actually don't have a good picture of the profitability of their advertising program. There's a lot of murkiness around the data. It's not being collected very well. It's not being analyzed well. And so they just want a lot more clarity. They also want a lot more aggression and focus and just working on these campaigns and making sure they're being run as effectively as possible.
How has, the widespread adoption of AI affected your business and that of your clients?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's something that I think I'm still discovering because it's changing so quickly. But the first and foremost for us, it has been how these advertising platforms have really embraced AI, especially in how they deliver ads. So up until I would say about 3 years ago, a lot of digital advertising specifically, the main focus in terms of the service was actually setting up and running the campaigns. Now the setup side is extremely easy. All you have to worry about today is the inputs for these campaigns. So it's a creative that you're putting in, it's a copy you're putting in, and it's also the data that you're feeding into these algorithms. Prior to that, there's a lot of complexity around the setup of campaigns and the optimization of the campaigns themselves. Today, that's largely managed by AI, that's managed by machine learning. So an agency, especially an advertising agency, doesn't actually provide that much added value in the setup and running of the campaigns. The added value truly is the strategy side of things, and more specifically, the creative strategy side of things, as well as understanding the comprehensive, more holistic view of how digital advertising works today, and understanding the kind of key things to focus on in this space, and letting a lot of the kind of hard work of optimizing these campaigns just be driven by AI today. I think the other key thing that's really changing quickly today is generative AI around creative and copy. And so we're still trying to figure that out. But for us, it's a high leverage opportunity because there used to be a massive overhead cost to creative teams. Now you can build a lot of leverage in your creative teams and actually work with a lot fewer creatives that actually they're able to use these tools really effectively and efficiently. And that gives us a huge advantage on the cost side.
For business, our direct-to-consumer e-com brands that are watching or listening, how do they know that now is the right time to engage somebody like H Street?
Yeah, I think that the main thing is they're generally pretty frustrated with their agency they're working with today. I think it's number one is just, talk to us, see if we have a better approach to solving some of these problems. I think the second thing is if they're considering building out a team in-house, it's a really tough, expensive proposition for a lot of these brands, especially at the size of about $10 million revenue. It's a lot more efficient just working with us. It's a lot more cost effective. And I think the other thing is if they're looking for new ideas and strategy, and it's a really important thing, to really radically change the trajectory of their business in terms of growth. We're just a great team to be working with to really accelerate what they're doing in terms of e-com and digital advertising.
You've achieved so much success for your clients and your agency. What's your biggest challenge now?
My biggest challenge is dealing with the whiplash of growth. We've grown really fast. And there's a phrase, it's called, it's change management, but that's my biggest problem today is I'm trying to figure out how to grow quickly, but also to make sure everything that's changing rapidly within the business it's being managed in a way that allows us to methodically grow and not basically blow up. And that's my big focus today is really making sure that the new team members that we add, they're getting integrated quickly. We're building out new and better ways of communicating. We're building out better systems and processes that allow us to truly scale and keep scaling sustainably at this rate.
You're mentioned the word change. It seems like in the MarTech industry, change is constant. Every week there's a new app, there's a new program, there's a new network. How do you stay on top of it all?
So for me, I stay on top of it really through Twitter. I feel like Twitter is the fastest way to get the most recent information possible. And so I follow a lot of very key people in this space. And I think people in this space are really good about producing lots of content, especially on Twitter and LinkedIn. But more specifically, I think Twitter is a faster platform. But I really just, I keep track of the right people in the space. But I'm also constantly in conversations with other people who also have other agencies or are working with brands to really try to, hear and kind of keep my finger on the pulse of what's happening right now and what the kind of key things are that people are implementing in their business. And then I think the other thing is I do have this, you kind of have to have a constant willingness to strip out things and then apply new principles, new ideas, new concepts, and not be too tied to an existing thing just because it worked in the past, right? And I think with the agency side of things, in terms of growth, there's that phrase, what got you here won't get you there. And just having that idea too, just constantly this principle of completely changing things, stripping out what's not working anymore and focusing on things that are going to actually improve growth wherever it might be.
Makes a lot of sense. Your passion's obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
It's really exciting when you start scaling a campaign, it's really working, and you see the impact that you're having on a brand. An example with this is we worked with a brand last year where we scaled up the revenue being generated from ads from, it was around 30K a month to 1.6 million a month. And it made such a big impact on that company that the leadership at that company, they actually paid themselves all $1 million bonuses at the end of the year. And so just knowing that we had made such a huge impact on a company, that's so exciting. Just knowing we're really crucial to that growth and actually seeing that in a real tangible way in terms of the numbers. And we actually saw it in terms of their P&L as well. They shared some numbers with us, but we were actually responsible for 50% of that company's profit last year.
That's absolutely incredible. Well, what a great case study and success story. We know your time is incredibly valuable. We appreciate you spending some of it with us. For our folks who are watching and listening who say, hey, I want growth like that, where is the best place for them to go to learn more?
Yeah, the best way to learn more is, check out our website at hstreetdigital.co. You can also message me on LinkedIn. It's if you just search in LinkedIn, Hal Smith, H Street, you should be able to find me. Just shoot me a message and we can continue the conversation there.
Awesome. This has been Seth Greene for Sharkpreneur Agency Edition with Hal Smith of hstreetdigital.co. Hal, thanks again for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.